Let's head on over to the top of the hill for some of the top stories around the country. Joining us today, Niall Stanage, Associate Editor of The Hill. Good morning, Niall.
Morning, Mitch. How are you?
I am doing well. Pete Buttigieg might be having a worse week than me. Has the Secretary of Transportation ever been in the news this much? Because we had the rail strike at the end of last year. Then we had the Southwest meltdown, which he was supposed to answer for. Now the FAA has a computer glitch, and guess who that falls under? Pete Buttigieg. So, oh my goodness, this was almost like a ceremonial role, and yet he's had a lot to do.
Yeah, he has, and I don't think there has really been a transportation secretary that I can remember who's been in the news quite so much. And of course, if you hold that job, it's a bit like being a referee in a sports game. If you're mentioned a lot, that's generally a bad sign, right? You only get in the news that much when stuff goes wrong. Now, to be fair to Secretary Buttigieg, I'm not sure that he personally is culpable for it, but the buck stops with him for all of these things. And obviously what happened yesterday was a massive disruption. Thousands and thousands of flights delayed or cancelled.
Well, and we were talking internally about how the Secretary of Transportation is often almost like a favor position. It's like, this is somebody that's close to me. That person often has no transportation experience. We know that Pete Buttigieg was a mayor of South Bend, but I don't think he was in charge of the bus routes there in South Bend. So is that true, though? Going back, in your memory, can you think of transportation secretaries that had some sort of experience, or is it typically almost like the spoil system? It's a political favor that you do for somebody else that you want to keep close to you.
As a general rule, I think it is more a managerial role, or something that someone who has executive experience generally gets chosen for. I can't off the top of my head think of secretaries with extensive transportation experience. But the one thing we should mention about Secretary Buttigieg is, of course, he did run for the presidency in 2020, did surprisingly well. And if President Biden were to step aside, or even beyond the Biden presidency, he would be considered, Buttigieg would, a possible presidential contender. So all these things, I think, get factored into a test of his executive abilities, even if not a test of his actual specific granular knowledge of transportation.
Well, yeah, I kind of wonder about that with what Steve Scalise told Joe Khalil yesterday. He said, we're going to investigate this, and everything's got a political angle here, so we've got less than 45 seconds, but I kind of wonder, is it the point of the Republicans in the House to maybe pull Pete Buttigieg in front of them, pepper him with questions, and maybe drop his stock a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I think it could be. I think that is standard political tactics in a way. If there are people who are considered rising stars, then the opposition party is always going to want to dim their luster a little bit. I think we see that with Secretary Buttigieg. I think we've seen that with Vice President Harris to a certain degree. So yes, part of the equation, though of course there are genuine questions to answer as well.
There are genuine questions to answer. We still don't know exactly what happened. Hopefully we do get to the bottom of it. That's Niall Stanage, Associate Editor at The Hill. Thank you for joining us. And that is all. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation in your cable lineup. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-based, unbiased coverage.